which I hope you have as well, that I will spend my life assisting women and youth gain social and political empowerment through business and education. With that mission, after I left office, I looked around at what next on my agenda. So I went to work in the United States of America at the Woodrow Wilson Center to research as a research fellow, to research on the participation of women in leadership in Africa. And from there to this point, to answer your question, I've been extremely busy following my mission that I just told you about, but looking closely at women's participation in Africa, but also looking at what I can continue to do to impact life. So the areas I've focused on is leadership, as I was researching in the United States of America, girls' education, but also climate change. So I'm currently serving on 25 international boards. But for me, of great interest is the issue of climate change. I'm serving currently as the champion for climate justice at the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance. So if you ask me, we've been implementing projects here in Malawi. I strongly believe that each one of us, you included, we can do something about the situation we are in. Climate change has come and has come to stay. Some of us are looking at who caused it and what can they do to help us clean up. And those are the partners that I bring to Malawi. I believe that the West had a lot to do with where we are now. So yes, I've been extremely busy. In fact, busier than I was before while in office.
2023 has been a tragic year for Malawi in as far as issues to do with the environment are concerned. You were appointed a Goodwill Ambassador together with former President Dr. Bageli Molozi. What do you want to see by the time you're finishing your mission?
Now, to start with, that position has no time limit. So I don't know what you mean when we finish, because it looks like the problems that Malawians are facing continue. Yesterday, newspapers, media houses announced that 5 million people are going to be food insecure, and 360,000 households have no homes right now as a result of those calamities. We as Goodwill Ambassadors have run around doing the best that we can in our private capacity, looking for friends outside and inside Malawi. What I would like to see happen is that a massive program that will address the problem of homelessness, a massive program that will address issues of food security. And those, I think, that not 2 Goodwill Ambassadors can do. Even if we were 1,000, we couldn't do it. But also, I believe that the government alone cannot do it. I was talking to some members of parliament, and they were saying maybe it needs to be the international community like the World Bank coming in, massive building projects for those that are homeless. You have to go and see where people are living now, and you have to go and see what people are eating now. It's a pathetic situation, and I don't think the blame game will solve that problem. What requires to happen is everybody getting involved, those of us who are Goodwill Ambassadors, the civil society, NGOs, government, but also the international community, to even get halfway through the problem.
As a Pan-African ambassador, how do you intend to use this role to benefit Malawi?
I am keenly looking at what we can do. Right now, I don't know if you know, one of the organizations that have formed since I left office is the Community Development Initiative. The Community Development Initiative partnered with a US organization. And 2 years ago, we started implementing, building resilient communities, assisting communities to transform their own lives. I truly believe that it is not anything that we can do as CDI or government can do. The community themselves are the biggest players because they are the ones who know what requires to be done. And we have tested it. We've tried it in a community area, one community area, which I believe you remember won the first prize in Africa last year at the COP28. It is to come in and find the community that is already well sensitized, provide all the facilities, opportunities, utilities, inputs, cash transfer, and see what they can do for themselves. In that year alone, 1 year, families were able to harvest 20 to 40 bags of maize per household. So I know now that it can be done if communities can be assisted. So as this is part of climate justice, I don't want to accept that we were colonized for 75 years and we were deprived of our raw materials because they were taken away by those that are developed. And they went ahead and industrialized. In the process of industrializing, emitted emissions and gases that have come back to hurt the same communities that were victimized. It's not fair. So that's what a climate justice champion can do, is to articulate those, compile those issues, take them to those that matter, those that can listen, and do something about the situation. So apart from just raising my voice, we're also implementing programs. Not only in Malawi, I was supposed to be in Kenya last week, unfortunately we lost our vice president, so I had to cancel all events that I was going to be involved in around climate change. But I hope you know also that I have been appointed one of the 25 global citizens that are advisors to the Azerbaijan government in Baku, because they're the ones who are going to host the next climate change summit in November, COP29.
So Malawi has that instance of a community which is yielding the desired results. Where are we failing as a country to adapt all those things and then be implemented in all other communities?
We are not failing, because if we say we are failing, what we have, I asked, how come we won the first prize at COP28? And they told us that the strength of our project was the equal partnership between a foreign partner, community development initiative, and the community as the main actor. Here, what I have learned working in communities throughout my adult life is that the communities of Malawians at grassroots are ready to change their situation. They struggle to find opportunities, but when given the opportunity, they will perform miracles. So what I believe we ought to do is to make sure that we are taking advantage with our chiefs, who are the custodians of our tradition and culture, and their communities, who are prepared to work hard to change their situation. I would like to believe that if we go back to the drawing board, because what I'm telling you now is not new. Those of my age know that that's how we have lived in the past. That in the past, we were given opportunities and we took advantage of them. Well, if this has changed, maybe it is now. So what we need to do is to continue, as late SKC, may his soul rest in peace, kept saying, we need mindset change. And mindset change for those of my age to just go back to where we used to be, where we woke up every single day and decided, I am going to go to the garden, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to go to the market, kata, because if I don't, I will have no food. If I don't, I will die. If I don't, my children will not go to school. As opposed to a time where you can say, oh, I don't have to work because I'll go to the MP, and the MP will pay my school fees. I'll go to somebody else. I'll go to Joyce Banda, and Joyce Banda will send my children to school. That is the shift in our mind that we need to do, so that then when we get people like Joyce Banda who are interested in educating girls, they should just focus on girls that don't have parents. They don't have anybody. They don't have anywhere to turn. But when you're able, I said this with all due respect, because I asked somebody who phoned me and said, mind and I asked, how old are you? And this woman will say, I'm 45. And I say, well, I'm 74. When I grew up, I used to leave my 74-year grandmother outside, basking in the sun as I went to the garden to come back and feed that grandmother. So things have turned around, now it is you depending on me. That is where we are at. And what is it that we must do to help our communities and to help families that are struggling? And the economy is not even helping the state of our economies in Africa right now. What is it that we can do? Those of us who know what we must do, can we all hold hands and help our fellow citizens that are struggling?
You have been doing this for 10 years since you left office.
No, my entire adult life.
Your entire adult life. But now my focus is on these 10 years. How have you managed to balance all that, including leading the People's Party?
The uniqueness of my work is that whenever people ask me, how did you grow up thinking, I must go into politics, I must become a president of Malawi? How did that work? And I tell them, no, it's the other way around. I went to work, I worked with communities, and it is this constituency where we are sitting, in this village of mine, where people asked me to go to parliament. So it was not parliament first, it was not politics first, it was development first that propelled me into politics. So then I get into politics, then one thing leads to another. I become vice president of the party and the country as well. I was first in UDF, I was head of women, and then in DPP, I was secretary general and vice president of the party to President Bingwa Mutharika. Then things didn't work out, and we fell apart. And I was expelled from the party that I co-founded as well, because I was one of the founding members. Gwanda Chakwamba, myself, Zikale Ngoma, Uladi Musa, and President Bingwa Mutharika, Tonse Banda, Patricia Kaliati, Henry Musa. This is the team that got together and started the DPP. But I couldn't stay. When I was vice president, I was expelled. When I was expelled, then I started the People's Party. The People's Party has grown and now continues to grow every day, to my own surprise. My belief is that as I go forward, I must be mindful of the fact that younger people must take over the party. Yeah, but I have balanced running PP and all this development work because of the hard work of people that are in the party. Because I must be very honest, I could give it more time and more attention if I didn't have all this work. Because sometimes in a month, I'm in Malawi 2 weeks, 1 week. The rest of the time, I'm all over the world. But so I depend on people that are in the party, the leadership in the party, that work extremely hard to keep the party going. I mean, everywhere I go these days, I don't even need to prepare or to call anybody. I just get there and I find that there are dozens and dozens of People's Party women and youth present in their colors. So it's a party that is a sleeping giant, and it's a national strong network.
Your political career is quite interesting, but still, how have you managed to balance? You're a champion of gender in the country. How have you managed to balance your activism and politics? Because as it is, you are the leader of the People's Party. Mm-hmm. How have you been balancing?
I guess you just have to decide what kind of politics are you going to engage in? What are you going to do? What are you promoting? For me, politics, I don't know what you know as politics, but the problem is when we begin now to translate it in our local language, then it is Ndali. It is Kugwesana. Yeah, so somebody told Kamuzu, I'm told when he came back in 1959, that what is politics, he said in Ndali. What is Ndali? Ndali in Kugwesana. When you begin to think about politics as Kugwesana, then you definitely cannot do Ndale politics alongside anything else. But for me, my own politics, in fact, even my own leadership or my time as president, the style that I used was different. For me, I believe that being a political leader in State House, I must focus very seriously on major projects, but more importantly, on poor projects. So things that people hadn't done before, like going in the villages and distributing cows, going in the villages and distributing inputs, starting projects that were focusing on legumes with potential for export, building rural houses. These are projects maybe people would say, but those are not projects for a president, but for me they are. And for your information, when I looked around at presidents that I admire, like Paul Kagame, these are the projects they also implemented. That at the end of the day, I invite President Mwai Kibaki, I lay a foundation stone for the bypass road, I lay a foundation stone for the Bingu Stadium, but tomorrow I must be in another village giving out food to the poor. That's my idea of leadership, my style of leadership. I cannot go to sleep if I know that the people that I love and lead have no food. By the way, Joyce Banda of Malawi once said, leadership is a love affair. You must fall in love with people you lead, and the people you serve will fall in love with you. So for me, you see me in many villages, it's because I fell in love with those people a long time ago. So it's not just politics per se, it's you combining politics and development. And so for me, I have never found any conflict in being a politician and being a development agent.
And so let's look at your party, the People's Party. You have mentioned that you quite understand that time will come whereby you have to say, I call it quits for now. When do you intend to do this?
No, that's up to me. That's an ongoing process in my mind. And it has to be a process in my mind that recognizes the fact that I've come this far with the party, not on my own, but with other interested parties as well, that I must respect. So that any decisions that I make, I cannot make them on TV with enough. I have to make sure that I sit down with those people that have led this party, that have worked extremely hard, and make sure that I have a very meaningful and amicable transition.
In case you're just tuning in, this is MBC Exclusive with me, Ali Nafe Mlamba. My guest today is Her Excellency, Dr. Joyce Banda, who is former president of the Republic of Malawi. We'll be back after this short break. We're talking about the People's Party, and this is a party which is in a political alliance, Tonse Alliance. 2025 is coming. Should we expect the party to be part of the Tonse Alliance moving ahead?
Going forward towards 2025, every party in Malawi will have a convention. And coming out of that convention, every party will have a new executive committee. I've heard some people say that was an electoral arrangement for 2020. That going forward, we will have our conventions, come out with the new national executive members, people will make their own decisions. What I know now as I'm talking to you is what I've heard the spokesperson of MCP say, that the day they go into the convention, that's the end of their lives, which is fine. And my discussion with the head of state, who is the head of that party, goes along the same sentiments. So we are very clear in our mind that we were loyal to the arrangement that was made. If you ask me, did it work well, did it work, that's another story. But I am just saying, for us, with our dignity as a party, we were loyal to the arrangement that was made. And my late son, SKC, also, his party stood by the alliance. But when we go to the convention, this is what I've been told, when they go to their convention, which comes earlier than ourselves, that's the end of the convention, the Tonse Alliance. That's what Mr. Chingoma announced. Honorable Chingoma announced, and you all heard that. So I don't know why you're asking me, because that is what happened. That's what was said, and that's what we all heard. And I took the trouble to confirm, and that's what we know. And there's no problem whatsoever.
So does that mean we should expect the People's Party to be on the ballot come next year?
Well, remember, I'm not an candidate, so I don't know. I don't know whether we shall be on the cards, on the ballot paper, because that is a decision that must be made on the 7th of September in our party. So the party is meeting to have a convention on the 7th of September. At this 7th of September, decisions will be made. And it is at the same convention the decision on who will be the torchbearer will be made. So any discussion now about that will be preempting over something that hasn't happened. They now be lying to you.
You as an individual, should we expect you to seek
No, you should
re-election?
No, you should not expect anything from me, because from today, which is July to September, that's a long way away. So I don't know what is going to happen at this convention.
For the years you've been in politics, what should Malawians learn when it comes to elections in Malawi?
I worry about the way elections are conducted. And I'm glad that we are the only country that at one time did something about the situation. Because even now, as we are going towards the elections 2025, you can see how people are hustling for the position now to get there, pushing everybody else. But for 5 years, people haven't seen you do anything. Suddenly, you are there and you're pushing everybody else. And unfortunately for elections, it is the one with the loudest mouth, it is the one with the most lies that gets to State House. That is why, at the end of the day, it is the people that become victims. Because it is the people, once I get in and I rig the election, and Joyce Banda then becomes president because she rigged, people will still suffer. But there's a leader who will not push, will not fight, will not lie, will not scream. But that is the person, if people gave an opportunity, this country would turn around. Do you see, am I making sense? That is the problem. So I like the question that you asked, because are the elections serving us properly, or are they not? That is the sad bit. That is what worries me. What worries me is that sometimes a woman will have a very good agenda to campaign in a constituency, to become an MP, and have lined up programs that she will do to change the lives of the people there. Up comes a gentleman or another woman with a lot of money, sprinkle it everywhere, get the position, and go back to Blantyre or Lero and stay there and not come back. And the people continue to suffer. That breaks my heart about elections.
Through this interview, you have over and over again mentioned the late Vice President, Dr. Saulos Klaus Chilima, in your words, referring to him as your son. What do you make out of the unity that Malawians showed throughout the 21 days of mourning, much as June has been quite a tragic month for us?
It made me cry even more for him. What I made of the 21 days of mourning, I saw love for that young man. I saw love that I've never seen, that was demonstrated by Malawians for that young man. The question that I have for you, and for me and for everybody else, did he know that we loved him this much? Did he know? What did we say? Now and again. Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? This is a very serious conversation. Are you hearing me?
Of course I am.
Malawians loved Saulos Klaus Chilima. May his soul rest in peace. Loved him. And I've seen that in the 21 days. But even I didn't know that there was that much love for him. And I know that he didn't know either.
Reflecting on your presidency, what do you consider your biggest achievement and your biggest regret?
My biggest achievement as leader, as president, well, I could list them down. I could say, oh, we reduced maternal death by 32%, we increased our electricity supply, there was no, we had the forex every day. I could list all those, but perhaps to put that in one packet is to say That is the only time this country grew by 6.2% economic growth. I say this because statistics don't lie. If your country grows by 4% and below, that's when trouble starts. Because then it means people have no food, it means maybe you have no fuel, it means that maybe you have no drugs in hospitals and you have no forex. If you grow by 5% going to 6.2%, the country doesn't have those shortages. And so for me, if you ask me what was your greatest achievement, it is to grow our economy by that percentage. Because when I came, 2011, 2012, this country grew by 3.5%. You know that. And from the time I left office, nobody has touched 6 again. Go and check your statistics.